What up, world? You are in tune to the Marvelous-Talk podcast with your fellas, your boys. Big G, what's up, Big G?
What's cracking to the marvelous talk land?
And of course, you got your one and only Dame. Dame, how you doing today, man?
Man, blessed and highly favored, ready to do this thing like we always do. You know how time it is.
Like we always do. And of course, we're going to get into you and yours, just talking about the Marvelous Talk and the Marvel Universe, the MCU, and what's going on inside of the MCU at this moment. I'm telling you, it's a whole bunch of craziness, even though we are just stagnant in between the release of What If and we just had the finish of Loki. I mean, so many things coming out, so many things we want to get in, and we got so little time, but we're going to get it started just like this. And look, man, we came to the end of the whole Loki series and we wrapped it up and we talked about it. And I mean, we're getting into now where we're starting to see the reveal of everything else that we have coming. We of course got past Falcon and the Winter Soldier, got past Black Widow, WandaVision. Definitely we finished with Loki. So what we have next is What If and Shang-Chi. So we have both of those things coming next, but I just want you to look at this, you guys. Look at this whole lineup. And there's something hidden inside here that I definitely want to talk about as we get into the show. But before we do, you guys, man, how do you feel after seeing the whole culmination of what took place on Loki? Like, we've had a whole week to kind of stew over it. And Dane, what's going through your mind, man? How do you feel at this moment?
Man, they set us up for the next 5 years.
Yeah.
They done put us on a path that's going to be really interesting to see where we go, because now you've got, this whole, with the branching of the timelines, you're going to have to rectify that some kind of way. You're going to be introduced to Kang the Conqueror and all the other variants that go along with Kang. And it's gonna be nuts, man. And it's how it's gonna all intersect with the other movies. You're gonna see semblances of this spread out all the different properties throughout the next, like I said, at least through phase 4 and 5 for sure, which is gonna last another 2-3 years at least. So yeah, man, we're on an interesting path. I told y'all, man, I hope when Kang comes back, the first person I hope he offs is Sylvie. Don't like Sylvie no more, man.
Sylvie deserved it, man. She deserved it, man. And G, man, what do you think, man? Having just got past Loki and having, this woosah moment to actually breathe in between, how do you feel, man? What's going on? Tell me what's your thoughts.
Well, I'm going to tell you, like Jonathan Majors said right before his apparent death in the Loki series, I'll see you soon. He said it was a setup. It was a setup to explain to you that what we're about to see is multiple facets of multiple characters through multiple timelines to bring them all together for, I think, at least one, but possibly two culminating events or big time, blockbuster, all-time great Marvel movies.
I believe so. And I mean, we're definitely going to discuss that as we continue to move forward, man. The first thing, first order of business, the next thing that we got coming is What If. And normally Dame would talk about this in MTN Marvelous-Talk News, but we're just going to discuss it together as a team.
Might as well.
You definitely do know that What If is going to be canon. What does that mean? What does that mean to the average and we can go to the comic book person, and we'll probably go to that with G. But Dane, what does that mean for the average everyday person, knowing that this what if is going to be canon?
It means that it has a place in the whole MCU. You know, it's not just some one-off or something that, you know, you should just disregard. Especially a lot of people had that mindset being that it's animated, you know, oh, it's animated, it's just a one-off, nothing to really take serious. No, it's important in the fact that in this last episode of Loki, we just got introduced fully. Now, keep in mind, they've given us hints here and there of the multiverse, but we got plunged into the multiverse. It's like, it's not a speculation. It's not a theory no more. In the MCU now, the whole idea of the multiverse is full in effect and in our faces. And what if, as I consider what if a school primer of what the multiverse looks like. We've seen typically, really, we've only seen one timeline, you know, throughout the MCU.
So we thought. We were seeing one timeline.
Right. But so I'm saying that what if is going to explore the full facet of the multiverse as the what's his name? G, help me.
The Beyonder.
Whatever his name, the dude with the big head. As he says,
he's the Watcher. He's the Watcher.
The Watcher. Yeah, as he says in the trailer, come with me on journeys throughout the multiverse. So it's gonna be interesting, man.
Yeah, and G, you know, what if being canon? What's your thoughts to this? What's your thoughts to what if being canon?
Once again, it plays homage to the genius of Kevin Feige and Marvel Cinematic Universe Studios. You got to remember, they're trying to fast forward us they're trying to fast forward us and push us through and into all the little scenarios or ways that they can bring characters into canonized Marvel world, right? So what better way can you do it to save money on production, time, energy, effort, and actors, but then to make an animated show and do spins and turns on every character? Because we know that the new characters will be a little the old characters will be a little different, but then what type of new characters are they going to bring to this universe that one way we might see them as a cartoon, and the next time we see them, they might be live action.
Right.
So it's a genius move as far as money, time, effort, energy, and actors to bring a whole bunch of canon information to you in some episodes through more or less a cartoon. Super smart.
Yeah, I mean, we
genius.
already see Howard the Duck. You know what I mean? We already seen Howard the Duck inside of here. And you know, if anybody goes back to the first Howard the Duck, it was bad. You know, it was a bad movie. But to know that he is a part of the MCU, you definitely
right.
Remember, he was at
twice.
He was actually at the end of Guardians of the Galaxy, the very first Guardians of the Galaxy. The post-credit screen, it was him with the actual Collector when the Collector's old stuff got bombed out. Right. Howard was ghosting him.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, but so my thing on that is that you haven't in this dispensation of the MCU, we have not seen Howard the Duck. Right. You know, we seen him before Blade. It was like, you know, Howard the Duck was more of like a throwaway character, like but more serious in the MCU, right? So now with this whole thing with what if being canon, the thing that I'm thinking about now, and here's kind of my thought process. Now, just like what Big G said, and just like what Dame said, this is your crash course to how to operate in the multiverse. Now, let me show y'all how we have been kind of left in the dirt, but they put it out there, but we didn't catch it. I know I didn't catch it. Let me speak for myself. Okay, let me speak for myself. I'm not going to put you guys out there, Dane and Big G. I'm not putting y'all out there like that. But let me tell you, I went back and I watched Doctor Strange. And when I watched Doctor Strange, the Ancient One and Doctor Strange were having a conversation. And the Ancient One tells Doctor Strange, hey, we pull magic from other universes. So when we're doing these spells, we're pulling them from other universes in the multiverse. She used that language, multiverse, right? She said, this is one of other multiverses. You know what I'm saying? Many multiverses. So it's like, they were setting this up in the very beginning. And then when you go to fast forward to Endgame, here she is guarding the only one timeline, but she's been talking about multiverses.
Mm-hmm. Right.
So who you working for, Ancient One? We already know her hands wasn't clean. We already know her hands wasn't clean. She's working for somebody else outside who we will see later, and it's probably Kang, or it was the one who remains. Somebody. She's working for somebody. At this point, she told us about a multiverse. Then all of a sudden, it's just one timeline. What do you guys think about that? And did you guys catch that at all?
I mean, me personally, I never thought of her having sinister vibes or anything from that. Her whole thing is just she wants to protect the timeline. I mean, that's why she's the Ancient One. You know what I'm saying? She passed that task on to Doctor Strange. And Doctor Strange ain't no evil character. So I'm just thinking, like I said, I think at the end of the day is she was using whatever means was necessary to get the job done. You know what I'm saying? Maybe she crossed the line sometimes, and we know she did because your boy Mordo, that's why he got mad, which I thought punk move, dude. Like, get over yourself. You know what I'm saying? He got mad. I'm never gonna walk this path again. Yeah, I'm never
better magic than me.
Yeah, I'm not. I will no longer walk this path. Well, bye, fool. It's like so. But no, man. Like I said, I get what you're saying. And she probably did have some interaction with Cammy. That's why she's the Ancient One. She's seen some things. But I think ultimately, going back to what she told Banner at the end, man, she just was trying to do whatever was necessary to protect the timeline that she was responsible for. So that's my take on it.
And you're right. But if she's protecting a timeline, then there's not a multiverse. She started out talking about a multiverse. So who else? What does that sound like? Who else had a agency or something set up to protect one timeline?
Kang.
Big G.
Well, he who remains.
About that, man. Did you see that in that or?
No, you're on it. You're on it. And I got a variant version of Dame's story. I believe it's been a setup from the beginning. From the beginning of all of the things that's happened, and that's just because of some of the information and knowledge that I have concerning comic books. See, I know how in depth the Immortus, Kang, Nathan Richards, Scarlet Scorpion, Ramatut, I know how in depth this character is entrenched in Marvel, especially Marvel Comics. So if they're actually going to do the character the way that I believe they're going to do, they had to spin it this way. Because Kang not only protects and guards the sacred timeline to ensure that he's the one at the end, i.e. he who remains. He's also a spin-off character that's called Immortus. And Immortus hooks up and teams up with people all throughout time, including his conception of the TVA, right? And then, so you have Immortus and the one who remains as the same guy. And then you got this guy called Kang the Conqueror, who has to literally go back through timeline and pillage other characters or other people that could be a threat to him. So you can't tell me, it's based on what I know in the comics, that Kang wasn't just going back conquering everybody. He was cutting deals with people. So the Ancient One, double agent. she knows what time it is. She knows what she has to do. And that's also because I know the male version of the Ancient One in the comics. And I know how he has some sinister stuff to him, tied to him, just like Doctor Strange does. But we'll get into that because Doctor Strange is a very dark character. We're just made him to see as this guy who could see all the timelines and goes through 14,067 different ones and comes out with one outcome. Really? One outcome? Oh, what are you guarding? You're paying attention to one timeline to make sure that the story lines up. So that's
and I agree. I agree 110%, but I just never really seen and it took me having to go back and watch Doctor Strange again for me to see her mentioning the multiverse. She mentioned the multiverse several times. So this multiverse theory has been on top of us this whole time. Now, flash forward Loki in the series, and at this ending, we see He Who Remains, pre-version of Kang, Nathan Richards, sitting there, and he's saying, well, I don't know what's going to happen past this point, right? Now, at the same time, what we've been seeing all over the internet is these two scenes lined up, starting WandaVision at the same time, starting Loki at the same time. Now you see Wanda in what's my girl's name?
Agatha.
You see Wanda and Agatha having this fight, and at the same exact time, you hear thunder and lightning crack. Thunder and lightning crack. You hear crack, and he's like, "Woo!" You know what I'm saying? We pushed.
Changed.
We
passed the threshold. The threshold.
We passed the threshold, right? So now you see this happening, and this is happening in Wanda's timeline, and it's actually happening at the same time with Loki. Because remember, time works different at the TVA. You know, so time works different for where they were at, right? At the edge of time. You know what I mean? So now we have this whole theory, and get this. Sylvie was crazy for doing what she did. She was hurt. She had so much trauma. There was a lot of trauma going on with Sylvie. She ran for her whole life, and this was her Nexus event. Like Dame told you earlier, this was her Nexus event. She killed the guy. You know what I'm saying? How big of a Nexus event can you get? You killed the guy. You know what I mean? We got to take
the guy. She killed the guy.
Yeah, hey, but listen. Who sent the TVA back to get her? Because the goal was she was about to get wiped, or she was going to get put in the void, right? So who, if you wanted him to make sure he won at the end, who sent the person back in the timeline to off her? You see what I'm saying? Man, it's a lot. You got to look at how it's being played out. There's multiple Kangs setting each other up for failure.
Oh, absolutely. And I mean, at some point, if there's a whole, that's why I said, Dame said it perfectly. You got Jonathan Majors for at least 4 years. It is what it is. Until we get the Fantastic Four, you've got Kang, and Kang is going to be around for a minute. He's not a Thanos character that you can wipe out in 2 movies. This is a guy who's going to be around because he can be in any time. If you understand Kang at all, he gets his weapons from different timelines. You know what I mean? He's not this guy can move in between, slide in between timelines like it's nothing.
He's a master. He's a mastermind.
Mastermind. You know what I'm saying? So here's where we're at, you guys. Now we're at this multiverse. We're at this place where you're going to see different universes coexisting with each other. What if it's canon? And what does that mean? How is what if canon? Well, I'll tell you. The official statement is that prime characters are going to exist in different universes.
Yes.
So you're going to have your Tony Starks in a different universe, prime character. You're going to have your T'Challas in a different universe.
Yes.
Prime character, right? You're going to see them all there, so it's still going to be canon. So you're still going to be able to use some of what you see in order to move forward in this whole dispensation of time that we're walking in, right? And what do we feel that they're pushing toward? I'm going to tell you. So let's go back and let's look at this list, and then I'm going to let G start to expound a little bit. You got Black Widow, right? So that's kind of like a one-off. That's a one-off. We got some characters out of here that are going to help us because, of course, we got the Thunderbolts. When we talked about.
Hey, can I say something real quick about Black Widow?
Go ahead.
It just came out. Man. So recently, I think yesterday, Kevin Feige and the crew from Black Widow, I think they did a live. It was either on Twitter or somewhere, and they asked a question. Somebody asked a question that, man, I think is kind of something we shouldn't stray away from. But Kevin Feige, being Kevin Feige, he didn't give a direct answer. But the person asked, "Did Yelena, was she dusted as a result of the snap?" And Feige said, You'll find that out, but not on this conversation. So I think that's relevant in some terms, knowing what we know, what happened at the end of Black Widow. I think that has a place in it. But I just wanted to throw that out there because that was that just came out yesterday.
I think that's great information, Dane. That's why he's Marvelish-Talk News. That's why he does that. And so you got Falcon and the Winter Soldier, got a Young Avenger from there. We definitely got, a Thunderbolt. Black Widow, we got a Thunderbolt. WandaVision, we what happened to White Vision? And then, definitely we had the unlocking of something, because that's what Agatha said. You don't know what you unleashed, right? So definitely we have this whole thing prevailing there. Then you have, and isn't it funny that they're both on the same side?
Yep.
Isn't it funny? It's really tripping me out. But all right, so then you have Loki, who dealt with time as well, right? And now we're coming to this what if canon thing, right? What if being canon. So now you're starting to see that they're putting together something. Now look, you got Hawkeye, you got Miss Marvel, you got Spider-Man No Way Home, right? You got She-Hulk. Let's get over here to She-Hulk. You got the Marvels, you got Moon Knight, you got Thor, Love and Thunder, and you have the Eternals. What are they pointing at, Big G? Tell us exactly. What do you feel like that they're pointing at this moment?
Well, there's no doubt that they're pointing at a super team-up movie coming up called Secret Wars. There's no doubt about it. Now, are they going to use the Secret Wars line or lineage, or are they going to use the Avengers Forever line or lineage? We don't know, because both of those comic runs tie in Kang, Immortus, the Beyonder, and the storyline of having multiple heroes from multiple locations and multiple villains from multiple locations snapped all into one place to fight it all out for not just all the timeline, but for all reality. There's no doubt in my mind that they're pointing towards this, right? So that's why you're seeing them mash the gas and fast forward. And these titles, they're coming up with not just a villain in every show, multiple villains in every show. They're coming up with multiple heroes in every show because they're introducing character after character after character. And then they cracked it open and said, okay, now we can pull a character from anywhere and anytime. Come on, you guys. The big movies for the MCU are Avengers movies. There's only really one big movie that this could actually create, especially with Kang being the first major big bad introduced. It's got to be Secret Wars. It's got to be Avengers Forever. Avengers Forever is Immortus versus Kang. That's the storyline. Secret Wars, Kang is a person on there, along with Ultron, Doctor Doom, Galactus. All these movies are setting up those bads to fight against all the goods that's going to come for the Secret Wars timeline. There's no doubt about it, man.
There's another thing that I want to throw out there too. One of the iterations of Kang, and Big G knows this, is that he is actually a young Avenger.
Correct.
So we've been seeing the young Avengers kind of interspersed all throughout Phase 4 already. We've seen at least 5.
Right. Nathan Richards, before the 31st century, becomes Iron Lad. Iron Lad is the character that takes over the mantle of Iron Man. The reason why Kang allows this to happen on his timeline is because he doesn't want Iron Man or Adamus Stark to come into play, because in the 31st century, Kang and Adamus Stark fight it out all the time because they're both like 4th or 5th degree intellects and superhumans that know how to destroy or beat each other. So he becomes a hero and actually is the leader and the team of the Young Avengers. So come on, man. It's all one, man.
Hey, man. Definitely. And he offs himself. If you find the comic book and the whole thing, he ends up offing himself, trying to get rid of Kang. Because Kang trying to convince him to take his place in the galaxy. But anyway, we have a question here.
Yeah.
Tate said all seems very interesting, but over my head, when is Black Panther 2 dropping, and who's filling Chadwick Boseman's role?
Next year. Next year, I believe May 2022. They're already filming. I think they're in the middle of filming. They're almost probably got about another several weeks to film. Then of course it goes into post-production. But yeah, they're working, man. And we just got confirmation this week. Another thing that came up is our man M'Baku is gonna be in the movie. So I'm excited about that, man. But yeah, they're filming right now feverishly, man. There
was role. Don't know.
There was a huge Easter egg or something that came out today about that Black Panther 2. They cast, I can't think of the actor's name. She's a European black female actor for a secret role in the movie that they said that the whole storyline is wrapped around. If you go on the internet right now and you check Twitter and all whatever else, everybody is saying that this young lady was cast as Storm. So
Michaela Coel is cast for, and the people are thinking it is Storm.
Yeah, it makes perfect sense if it does. It makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
So
I'm thinking that they're gonna bring a T'Challa, maybe from a multiverse, to bring him in and rebirth the role, and then add Storm in it to make the whole canon of the Black Panther come together as one. That's just
not only that, you could bring their son into play as well, right?
Who was a Black Panther?
Yeah.
Yes, he was.
So now you could bring their son into play, and fast forward, now you have a younger character to kind of play the role. And speaking of roles, now he's not signing actors. It's funny, he's not signing actors to multi-movie deals.
Mm-hmm.
I think there's a reason. I think, in this multiverse, in this whole dispensation, they want to keep you grasping for straws to figure it out. We're slipping down a slippery slope, and nobody really knows where we're driving. But I'm going to tell you, if you look at the series of movies and TV shows that are being put out, it just points towards Secret Wars. There's no way to get around it. It points towards Secret Wars, Avengers Forever. You can bring Tony back. You can bring Cap back. These are places to where we can actually, because look, if you know anything about the fact we got Captain in America, we had Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Well, Falcon doesn't hold on to the Captain America moniker for long.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? He has it for a brief amount of time, and then there's another Captain America. So, I mean, honestly, I think it's a setup, you guys. I think it's a setup, and I'm looking forward to what we see and what we're about to see coming forward.
Honestly, think it's going to take a while to get there, because they got a lot you got to build a foundation. People got to understand the whole dynamic of what the multiversal war is. You know what I'm saying? And then they're going to drop it. But one of the things that's interesting, somebody did this the other day, man. I thought this was an interesting fact, and I'll just throw it on the show and see what y'all think about it. So they talked about, the little time thing that Kang had on his wrist. Didn't it remind you, just think about it, didn't it remind you of a advanced version of what Tony Stark made for them when they went back in time?
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah, a Morbius strip.
Yeah.
His was on their hand right here, but his turned into a bracelet.
And then the other thing, check this out though. And then the other thing is that they said it's interesting that Kang, officially the movie that they have him passed to be in is Quantumania with Ant-Man. Wouldn't it be interesting if Janice Van Dyne knows who Kang is because of being in the multiverse?
Of course.
But she was in the quantum realm for forever. So of course, her knowing who Kang is not going to be like one of those things. I'm sure she ran into it, because she was moving. She kept moving. Remember, when they were trying to pinpoint her location, she said, "I'm gonna have to move in a minute."
Yep.
Why she had to move? You know, I mean, you got to think about it. So all of these things, as we're seeing them all progress, and Big G gave us, you know, the little tidbit of Secret Wars. I'm excited. I'm excited, and definitely we're going to continue to keep you posted here on Marvelous Talk. We're not gonna just climb all the way down the rabbit hole. We're gonna leave that for Big G, and Big G is definitely gonna bring us back some of the food and the tidbits from the rabbit hole. I go down to the rabbit hole a little bit, but I stay in a place where the air is crisp.
You just visited here. I live here. I live here. I live in the rabbit hole.
I got to stay where it's crisp, man. I mean, Big G goes down in the dungeon parts of the rabbit hole, and I can't be down there. I can't be down there.
That boy say he can't be down there.
But you know,
I gotta say to the audience before we
jump hold on, G, before you get there, before I forget this, because you mentioned this earlier, and I want to make sure that they get your point.
Yeah,
you said that Doctor Strange is very dark and he's a dark character. You guys, why do you think Elizabeth Olsen said what she said about Doctor Strange being a scary movie? She said it's going to be one of the most scariest Marvel movies, or the most scariest Marvel movie that you're going to see, right? Why do you think she said that? Because if you really read the comic, I was a Doctor Strange fan as a kid, and Doctor Strange got dark. You know what I'm saying? It got dark. I mean, dark where you was like, hey, I closed the comic book and look around and make sure there wasn't nothing around because it was scaring me. I'm like, man, it's crazy.
Well, think about this. The dark hole that she's got in her possession, now that she's a Nexus being, you realize they can introduce, according to the comic, vampires, werewolves. I mean, all kind of dark stuff that you would think you would never see in an MCU movie. So she's got a hold of the dark hole, you know. Maybe that's what her kids was screaming and crying out from, because they running from a werewolf or a vampire. Who knows? But she sure heard them. She sure heard them. So it's dark. It's real dark, man.
Hey, I'm gonna ask y'all something because this was on my mind. So help me, and just confirm to me this is what happened. So when we talk about the minute where he who remains, where he realized something had happened, he got that little revelation, that little look in his eye. Because I had this argument with my family. They wanted to swear up and down that it didn't happen that way. Do y'all think for sure, because we talked about this a little bit, do y'all think it for sure that it was because Scarlet Witch came into her full power? That's what it was.
So let's talk about that, Dane. That it has to be, right? Because the timeline has started fracturing by itself.
Exactly.
It has started fracturing by itself. So therefore, that's why I was telling you earlier, even though we don't like Sylvie, it had already started coming
before her.
Well, the issue is this, is that Kang had wiped out all other Kangs on that timeline, right? He had a Goliath that ate up everything. He had the TVA to control it, and he himself was going back millions of years just bumping people off, right? So what else could jack up the timeline? It had to be the birth of a new Nexus being that could change everything.
Absolutely.
So there was a Nexus being birthed or born or created or jumped into the timeline. That's why you just seen the branch realities just go nuts, because it was the conception of Wanda Maximoff's character, the Scarlet Witch.
Yeah, man. And
Tay got another question for us down there, man. Hey, man, you don't have to never apologize to us, bro.
And he said, are Thor and Loki really brothers trying to secure the basics?
Step brothers.
They're what you would call, step brothers. I mean, literally, or half brothers, because his father,
his
father took him from a different world and raised him as his own.
Loki is an ice giant. Loki's dad is Laufey. If you watch the first Thor movie and you see Odin going back in time fighting ice giants, Loki is the son of Laufey. how they stopped the war between the Ice Giants and the Asgardians was Thor and Thor's dad Odin made a pact with Laufey, and he said, "Okay, instead of me killing your child, I'm going to take him up underneath my branch and raise him as an Asgardian." So that's how him and Thor are actually brothers.
That's
they're
why
brothers. They're raised by same mom, same dad, but his Loki's dad is Laufey.
That's why when you look at the Loki series, whenever you see him spell Loki's name, say Loki, Laufey's son. That's what it means. He's the son of Laufey. Or some people call him LaFay, but I like to say Laufey.
Yeah, he's Laufey.
Yeah, he said Tate said he watched Ragnarok, and I'm gonna tell you that's the best Thor. And literally, it may end up being top 5 Marvel movies. I mean, let's just give it to him. I mean, what's your top 5? Top 5 Marvel movies
to date?
To date.
Oh, go ahead, Dame. Dame, you go ahead.
So I would say for me, so for me, number 5, which was for a long time, actually, believe it or not, was my number 1 because it started everything. I'd have to say number 5 was Iron Man. Okay. Number 4, I would say Civil War. Number 3 would be Infinity War. Number 2 would be Endgame. And number 1, hands down, because of the fact that it's just the way they did it, because no one ever thought it could ever be done, was this movie right here, Black Panther. That's hands down to me. That's the best one.
I hear that. But so Ragnarok would have to be number 5 for me. Number 4, I would agree would be Civil War. Number 3 would definitely be Infinity Wars. Number 2 would be Endgame. Number 1 would be Black Panther. I wouldn't change anything other than that, except for the fact that Ragnarok was dope. It was.
Oh yeah, absolutely. It's definitely in my top 10. I say Ragnarok is in my top 10. I'd say number 6.
Yeah, definitely.
I go Civil War 5, Thor Ragnarok 4, Infinity War 3, Black Panther 2, and Endgame 1. That's just mine. Because the best movie has to be the culminating event. But the best movie up underneath as far as production, staff, writing, characters, Black Panther. I mean, if there was no Endgame, Black Panther would have took it all out.
Yeah,
I mean, I'll never forget created a world that didn't exist, and they built a world just like Star Wars, built a whole world, and you wanted to know more about that world. You wanted to know more about Wakanda.
When they were in phase 2, I never forget, I saw an interview that they did with Stan Lee. When they were in phase 2, that they had just announced that they were getting ready to work on Black Panther. They had just cast Chadwick and all the other ones. And they asked Stan Lee of all the upcoming Marvel movies what movie he was most excited about, and he said Black Panther.
Yeah. Right. The only movie that I would say even gets close to jumping in, and it's just my opinion, is Guardians of the Galaxy Part 2. Guardians of the Galaxy 2 was an outstanding movie, man.
I was about to say that, and I wanted to work it in somewhere, but it can't beat none of them. It can't. It can't even beat Iron Man. I mean, Iron Man started it all, right? Yeah. Dan, I wanted to share Dan's comment. He didn't put it here on one of the social sites, but he was saying, man, he appreciates us mentioning Civil War because he don't think that it gets enough love. But I'm going to tell you something. Civil War was the bomb movie. It was really a great movie. Really, really a great movie. I think it opened up the doors to a lot and really showed us the hearts of Iron Man and Captain America.
Get this. You know what I mean? You could not have an Infinity War or Endgame without Civil War.
Absolutely not.
Yeah, guess what you can't get either? You can't get a Secret War. Because you got to keep building it up. So it kicked it all off. An Avengers movie inside of one character's run.
Yep.
That outstanding. Hey, but Ma, this is what I wanted to say too. I want to comment on something Dame said, right?
Dame
said, okay, listen. It's going to take us a while to get there, right? But in my estimation or my thinking, it's not. Because we're going to get 19, there's 18 official titles on the timeline that you show, right? But we already know that they have the Wakanda Files series coming out too. So there's 19 official titles in a 2-year run tied to the MCU timeline. Do you know how long it took us for phase 1 through 3 to get to this many titles? So I'm telling you, it is fast forward like you wouldn't.
Well, look at the timeline, bro. You got till 2023. So that's what I'm saying. I mean, I'm saying 24, 25 maybe, but you got 23 darn near halfway filled up, unless they rush and put something out. So that's what I'm saying when I say it's gonna take a little while, because we got so much stuff still to come. So if they drop Secret Wars on our brain right now and we know it's coming, man, people's minds gonna blow up.
Your mind, it explode. You still, like I said, in order to get Secret Wars, and G knows this, Max, who's watching too, he knows this. You gotta have Doom. Yeah. You can't have Secret Wars without Dr. Doom. And we haven't even got to the place where we introduce Victor Von Doom. Like, I mean, I think we're 2 movies away from that. We're 2 movies at least away from even mentioning Von Doom, and then, you have to think about this as well. You have to kind of lay this whole groundwork. If they went into it tomorrow, we would all be lost, even the ones that have been following and paying close attention. So all of the movies that I think that we have set out here, you're going to see a whole bunch of misdirection, and you're going to see a whole bunch of world building. I think the biggest ones, because if you think about it, the Marvels, where's that going to be set? That's going to be here on Earth, correct?
Yeah.
No, we don't know. We don't know.
No. That's gonna be very intergalactic, bro.
Okay. Yeah. So She-Hulk's Earth, right?
Yeah, She-Hulk is Earth. Yeah. Hawkeye is Earthbound.
Hawkeye's Earth, right?
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Spider-Man Earth.
Well, I don't know. Hawkeye could kind of venture out there. I don't know. It's mostly gonna be Earth, though. It's mostly gonna be Earth.
What I'm saying is, and the reason why I'm saying this is that they're gonna take us to space, galactic, then they'll bring us back to Earth to kind of keep us balanced. So you have to kind of get that balance between Earth and what's going on galactic, so that they can bring all of that together and marry it at the end, like they did with Endgame. Endgame was the culmination of everything that you had seen thus far. So this is literally a 4-year run that we're about to see.
I know one thing: when we get to December and No Way Home, our mind's gonna be already messed up after that movie.
Yeah. Shang-Chi and the Eternals is gonna do something strange to us. I'm telling you right now, because now everything is out there. You see what I'm saying? We don't know. That's what my hot take or prediction about the Marvel thing is. I'm telling you, Jonathan Majors is going to show up in a whole lot of titles as different characters. And I said that we're going to get the Scarlet Centurion. We're going to get Immortus. We've already got the one above all. We're going to get Ramatat. And of course, we're going to get Kang the Conqueror. And that's just the variance of his character that we know that they're going to bring to the big screen. For the Marvelish-Talk people to follow us, go back a couple of weeks back, and look at all the titles that Mod put on the screen as far as what he's been called.
Yeah. Big G, I think we've already got, and He Who Remains, I think we already got Immortus. I think they kind of combined the two. You know how Marvel takes the liberty with combining characters. Right. And I think that they combined the two. That's what Dane was saying. They mashing the gas for real. Mm-hmm. So what they're doing is they're combining a whole bunch of people into one character or a couple of characters, and we're moving forward that whole way. But man, we've got a whole bunch of Young Avengers. We've got a whole bunch of Thunderbolts. You know what I mean? The table is being set for something.
Or Dark Avengers. Or Dark Avengers. Or Dark Avengers. Because remember, Val said things is going to get real weird. You remember she already done said it. We already know she done recruited too. So we saw Abomination in the Shang-Chi commercial. I mean, it's getting strange. Yeah. It's getting strange. Like, we don't know what's what.
Yeah. And so, I mean, at the end of this whole thing, man, to kind of tie this up in the bow, we definitely wanted you guys to see, man, that you can't go to sleep. Literally, at this point, is not the time to go to sleep on what you've seen. If I would take the time, if you're a real Marvelous-Talk fan and a Marvelous fan, I would take the time to go back, because there's some things that I think that we've all missed. I had to admit it with myself. I missed that with Doctor Strange. Totally missed it. That she was talking about the multiverse in 2016. So in 2016, the payoff for 16 was in 21. Come on, bro.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, that was the payoff. You know what I'm saying? And this is how Feige gets down. Feige gets down by, he'll pay off little things at the end, like the vest that Natasha had on, total payoff. And that was 2 years later, man. I mean, listen, who's playing these type of chess moves and making these type of chess moves in movies? Nobody but Kevin Feige. Nobody. You know what I mean? And if you don't think that Mobius, and you don't think that
for our Marvel
Venom,
fans, if you get an opportunity. Oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
No, I'm saying, if you don't think that Venom and Mobius and all of them are not going to tie into what we're seeing, you're crazy. At this point,
I read an article just the other day. It said that all of the directors, so you got all the people that have been part of the Disney Plus TV shows, the upcoming directors that have already been slated. By the way, they named a possible director for Blade, y'all. I don't know if y'all knew that, but they're already possible. So, but anyway, all of these directors from the TV shows, the movies, they're having, I kid you not, they are having what's called multiversal rules meetings.
Right.
Because they don't want storylines colliding and being confused. They want it all to be, you know how they do. They want everything to kind of flow into one show in movie. You know what I'm saying? So I thought that was really cool, man, that they're actually having rules meetings. Like this is something you don't violate right here. I'm like, talk about chess, man. They strategizing.
Man. Yeah, and that's crazy that they're having those type of meetings. Sean, Big G even spoke about James Gunn already saying, I'm out. After I directed one, I'm out. Some people can't take it, man. Yeah. Some people can't take it. Definitely. Well,
hey, man, I want to make sure I share this before we bounce. For those people that are really Loki fans, please stay tuned, because I heard a crazy rumor today that they're going to drop all the deleted scenes from the Loki show. That's going to give us variants from everything to Rocket Raccoon. You're going to actually see a variant of Rocket Raccoon, to where you're going to go back and they're going to do the whole castle where he stayed at the end of the void and explain to you that place is a huge clock. So go back and check it out. I'm telling you, I've heard that the Loki deleted season is going to come out, and if it does, it's going to be something that you need to really check out.
Speaking of, they just put I didn't realize this, but the Assembled. You know how they do the Assembled after every that is now up on Disney Plus. The Assembled for Loki. So that's some good behind the scenes information you'll find there as well.
That's great. That's great. Yes, and as always, man, if you guys like what you're seeing, man, and you rock with the content, make sure you smash that like button and hit subscribe on that YouTube channel, man. We are here for you and yours. And definitely we want to make sure that we keep bringing you the best in Marvelous-Talk.
We try.
And Tate said, Big G with the hot take. Big G got the hot takes, man. Listen, Big G always have the hot takes, and that's what he is for, man. That's my guy with the hot takes. As always, man, like I said, we're going to be here giving you the best in Marvelous-Talk, and we thank you guys for rocking with us, and we out.